Hi, my name is Mike Thomas, owner of Kiwi Indian Motorcycle Company. In this video, I'm putting together rather quickly just to show you how to change your engine oil on an Indian motorcycle. So, first off, we're going to drain the oil out of the bottom of the tank. This has a quick drain feature that we makes oil changing on these Indians very easily. Usually they're a pain in the ass, but normally it just has a quarter pipe square plug in here, and then you've got to fart around and make some sort of arrangement so it doesn't piss out all over your cylinder heads. So this little deal here has a key feature. You see, it just goes up into here, turns it around, lifts the valve off its seat in here, and then it just pedals down the tube down into your oil can below. And it takes around about 2.5 quarts, so have a container that does hold around about 3 quarts to be safe. We need to go around the other side of the bike, and we've got to drain the oil out of the bottom of the crankcase. Down here, this one here is the drain plug. Pull it out and let all the oil pedal out of here. When you're reinserting this drain plug, we like to use a product called Loctite 567. It's a pasty Teflon. Apply that to threads and it will make them nice and oil tight. It's an awesome product. We've been using this stuff for about 20 years. About 20 years ago, I developed an oil filter that fits inside the oil tank, which you can see down there. It just enters through the top and it's fitted very easily. So in the tank we have a oil return tube, which actually, if we make it in proportion, is something like that. And then this is the oil filter. So the oil filter slides over the return tube. So it has the oil filter I designed has this little clip on the top. Now you can either get a piece of wire and just bend an L on it, pull it up that way, or get a pair of pliers and pull it out that way. So I pull it most of the way up and just let it sit there and let the oil drain through. Don't pull it all the way off the tube, that way it's all the old crap is still retained in the filter media itself. Indian never had a filter originally, but like any engine, oil must be filtered. People say, well, they never had them originally. Well, why don't you go out there, and if it's such a great idea, why don't you take it off your pickup, take it off your car, and drive around without a filter on it. So why would you do it? Why would you have a filter on your vehicle and not on your Indian? The Indian engine is very expensive to rebuild, probably more than your car engine, so for about 10 or 15 bucks, it's certainly well worth it. Change it every oil change. It's no big deal. The filter has a seal on the bottom, so when it slides over the return tube, it's captured and sealed. And you can see the clip that I designed into the top of it. This is a specific filter that I designed specifically for Indians. It's not off something else. It's made specifically for Indians. Does not restrict the flow to the oil pump at all. There's some other filters that are external ones. Those do have a tendency to restrict oil at the worst opportune times. It may be a stinking hot day, it may be up a steep hill, but they have known to give problems. This one here, I've been running this thing, I got thousands of them out there with clients. I tested it for years and years and years before even putting it on the market, and never once, I tested on weak pumps, good pumps, different oils, and never once did it ever restrict the oil being returned. We can't do it on the feed side, because what happens is it pulls a vacuum and it starves the engine of oil, so it has to be done on the return. But if you're starting out with a clean tank, from that point on you use a filter, it'll always be clean. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on oils. This is our profession, this is what we do a lot of testing on. We manufacture motors, we rebuild originals, actually we remanufacture. We do a lot of tear downs. We've seen the results of all the different oils. This oil here is Brad Penn. It's a regular SA50 weight. It's a Pennsylvania crude oil. It's the most naturally lubricating oil out of the ground. It's very high in zinc. One of the other good factors I like about it is the fact that for the guys that park their bikes over winterize them, unlike us out here in California, where we can, Southern California, we can run them year round. When you park your bike, that all the parts have got a coating of oil, and when you come to start it up, back up in springtime, it's got an oil coating still on the parts, whereas most of the other oils on the market will not. It will run off and it'll be pretty well a dry startup, where this stuff here has a lot of great cling, especially if it's got a little bit of use on it. It's tremendous oil. Absolutely love the stuff. The other great point on this thing is it makes the engine sound a lot quieter. It doesn't break down. All your other oils, once the engine gets hot, the oil breaks down and you can hear a more audible noise, all the little noise coming through the engine, where this Brad Penn, it just does not break down. So pretty well as you hear it cold is the same sounds you're going to hear where it's hot. The oil tank takes around about 2.5 quarts of oil, but if you choose not to run a filter, put it down about an inch below the return tube, or if you're running a filter, around about an inch down from the top of the filter, or overall it's probably about an inch to inch and a half down from the top of the tank. Now, a little hint, a lot of people pour oil out of a can this way. It's actually the most messy way that you could do it. Pour the oil this way. You'll actually have far better control and you're less likely to make a mess. If you do want to get the oil out of the oil pump and the oil lines, which is very little, what you can do is, before you put the filter in, you can actually put a clear plastic tube over the return line. The return line is the tall 5/16 one. There's two tall ones in there. One's 3/16, that's the breather line. The tall large one is 5/16, that's the return tube. So you can get a clear plastic tube, just push it out, insert it over the tube, and then I sometimes put a cup, just a throwaway cup, up here on the handlebars, bit of masking tape, duct tape, electrical tape, and then start the bike up. And the oil, this is of course after you put oil in the tank, and the oil that's in the oil pump or tube will then come out and then pee into the cup, and you can let it cycle for a little bit through there. After you've done your oil change, you've got the oil to the proper level, you're comfortable with everything, start the bike up and let it idle for a little while, and go around and just check for any oil leaks. your drain plug, just to make sure you captured everything there out of the crankcase and the tank. Before I do any ride, I like to do a warm-up. Just let the bike idle. Doesn't hurt anything. It's good. It's just sort of like probably a finely tuned woman. You know, you gotta warm her up first, and your bike's no different. Just be patient, warm it up, and then go out for your ride. You know, if you don't have all the time a whole bunch of time to warm it up, just take off very slowly and just put along, and then that'll allow things to warm up. Now, Indian temperature in the oil tank. Some guys talk about oil coolers. There's absolutely no need to use a cooler on an Indian. It's quite a well-engineered piece. The engineers were pretty smart, actually. The oil in the tank, believe it or not, on a hot or a cold day stays pretty consistent. What you got here is the large tube, is the feed to the engine. 5/16 one, the small one, is the return going back to the tank. So what happens here is you've always got cool air up against the front of the oil tank, and you've got gas back here that's dissipating the heat. The oil going down to the engine, going down to the engine feed, is being cooled. It's out here in front of the engine, the cool air is hitting it, so it's getting nice and cool on the way down, and on the way back, this is a return, so it's getting cool on the way back.